Good morning, friends. We begin worship the same way every Sunday with number 188 in your hardback hymnal. That's Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We sing it 2 times in English, then we change the key and sing it in Spanish. The lyrics are going to be on the screen. They are on the screen right now. And so I invite you, as you feel so led, friends, to rise and body your spirit and join us in song.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come otra vez. Ven, quien quiera que seas, vagabundo fiel, amante departiendo, no es procesión de perder. Ven otra vez, ven otra vez.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to this multi-platform service of Second Unitarian Church of Omaha. Welcome to all of you joining us in person, all of you joining us on Zoom, and a special welcome to any visitors. It's good to be here with you in this air-conditioned building on what promises to be a hot summer day. My name is Deb Gibson. I'm a 5'9" plus-size Caucasian woman with brown hair in a ponytail, some gray hairs in there, and I'm wearing a dark red shirt, Peanuts shirt, Peanuts the cartoon. And I'm privileged to be serving as your worship associate this morning alongside our settled minister, Reverend Juniper Meadows. Our worship theme for the month of July is Summer of Powerful Love, and Reverend Juniper will be speaking about belonging. In her words, together we will turn over the stone of the question, to whom, to what do I belong? And consider how we may find common kinship with this greater grandmother earth. You are welcome here in all the ways that your body and your spirit and your mind live and move and breathe. You are welcome here in all the ways that you love and in all the ways you create family. You are welcome here in all the ways that you search for meaning and make meaning in your life. You are welcome here no matter what you believe happens when we die. Whether you are celebrating the joys of life or hurting and searching for hope, you are welcome here. Please know that this congregation practices whole family worship and works to be radically welcoming and accessible to people of all ages and abilities. We purposefully welcome children and the sounds of joyful life in our sanctuary, and we know that we are a full and growing congregation that models inherent worth and dignity for all humans in this sacred space. We have activity bags in the back in case you need to fidget with your hands. If you need to move around, get up anytime during the service, you are welcome here. We want you to be comfortable. And all are invited, members, friends, visitors alike, to stay after the service, whether in person for coffee and conversation or in one of the breakout rooms on Zoom. We'd love to have you join us so we may get to know you better. We are changed as a congregation by everyone who walks through those doors or joins us on Zoom. I have a couple of announcements before we get too far. And this is about respecting privacy in our sacred space. And this is something the Safety Committee has been considering, and until we have a more clear policy, this is what we intend to do. Some areas of the sanctuary may be visible on camera during worship services. These include the front rows of seating, and Tom, you messed me up by, I lost my place, Tom. Okay, the front row of seating, the chancel and the pulpit area, and anyone participating in altar building at the front of the sanctuary. There's a camera here and also up there. And where, Tom? Up there? Okay. Sorry, I guess I'm not aware of my space. If you prefer not to appear on camera, please choose a seat in the designated area that is further back, and use the altar building station located in the back of the sanctuary. And we have a photography policy to protect the privacy and dignity of all who gather here. Do not take photos or videos of anyone without their express consent. This includes during worship, social hour, and events on church grounds. Special care should be taken not to photograph children or youth without written parental permission. Thank you for helping us uphold our values of consent, respect, and inclusion. If you have questions about this policy, please speak with a staff member or the safety team. And who's on the safety team?
Ashley, Juniper, and me.
Okay.
Jamie.
Okay. All right. So now our first act of worship. We invite you to rise and greet one another. And for those joining us on Zoom, we invite you to unmute and join in. It's so good to see and hear all of you. Let's pause those conversations for now and take them up again after the service. I'll now invite Casey Horpedahl, board chair, for another announcement.
I'll just stand here.
Oh, after the chalice lighting?
No, before the chalice lighting. I got ahead of myself.
We're good.
It happens.
It does.
Hey, good morning. My name's Casey Horpedahl. I'm a tall, dark-haired, bespectacled guy in a yellow shirt that says, "This is my happy place," because you guys are my happy place. And I do have the honor of serving as the board chair. I just wanted to announce, oh, thank you. Thank you. Second Unitarian, as you may have seen in the e-news and in the announcements this morning, that we received a certificate that we are an honor congregation 25 plus for paying our full requested amount to the annual program fund at the UUA for more than 25 years. And we looked into it, just so that you know, we looked into it and we found that we have been doing this for 36 consecutive years. So I just want to say on behalf of everybody, thank you for all that you all do to give generously to our church and to support our UUA.
Thank you, Casey. Quite an accomplishment. So for the chalice lighting, let us hear these words from Buddhist scholar and environmental activist Joanna Macy from her book, Dharma Reign. Is it my imagination to think that we have been chosen to live at a time when the stakes are really high? At a time when everything we've ever learned about interconnectedness, about trust, about courage can be put to the test? Each one of us is a gift the earth is giving to itself. Every anguish, betrayal, disappointment can help prepare us for the work of healing. If the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced it will be by ordinary people, people whose love for this life is greater than their fear. People who can open to the web of life that called us into being. This from Joanna Macy, 1929 to 2005. And now we'll move on to our covenant. Unitarian Universalism uses covenants rather than creeds. We don't profess to all believe the same thing. Instead, we say a covenant together as an agreement of how we will be in relationship to one another. And when it comes to hymns, spoken words that we say together, you only need to join in if you feel comfortable, folks. And I now invite you to rise as you are willing and able to speak the covenant words together as Sarah shares the slide on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, the quest for truth our sacrament, and this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another believe more fully in life. And because Spanish is the second most widely spoken language in this country, and we strive to show solidarity with those who speak languages other than our own, we recite our covenant a second time in Spanish. Please join us as Sarah shares the Spanish words on the screen. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra iglesia, la búsqueda de la verdad, nuestro sacramento. Y esto es nuestro acuerdo, que convivamos en paz, que busquemos la verdad en el amor, y que nos ayudemos uno al otro a creer más en la vida. It gets better every week, folks. At least to my ear. What do you say, Casey? I won't repeat what you said because I didn't quite understand it. Again, listen to these words from Joanna Macy. Active hope. Active hope is not wishful thinking. Active hope is not waiting to be rescued by some savior. Active hope is waking up to the beauty of life on whose behalf we can act. We belong to this world. The web of life is calling us forth at this time. We've come a long way and here to play our part, and are here to play our part. With active hope, we realize that there are adventures in store, strengths to discover, and comrades to link arms with. Active hope is a readiness to discover the strengths in ourselves and in others, a readiness to discover the reasons for hope and the occasions for love, a readiness to discover the size and strengths of our hearts, our quickness of mind, our steadiness of purpose, our own authority, our love for life, the liveliness of our curiosity, the unsuspected deep well of patience and diligence, the keenness of our senses, our capacity to lead. None of these can be discovered in an armchair or without risk.
And once again, friends, my name is Reverend Juniper Meadows. It's my pleasure to serve as your settled minister here at Second Unitarian Church of Omaha. Joanna Macy was a teacher of my teachers. A lot of loss this month. Joanna Macy passed away earlier this week after a long, long life of living righteously and teaching, opening hearts and minds. And it was from her that I learned of the concept of deep ecology, but it did not originate with her. In 1973, the Norwegian scholar Arne Næss coined that term, deep ecology, a planetary perspective that names the whole biosphere as interconnected, which is plainly observable. In birdsong of the interactions of creatures, if we can know this world empirically, we will know it is woven together. But furthermore, deep ecology proclaims this, challenging, that no form of life holds more or less of a right to live than any other. Deep ecology is deeply challenging. As the naturalist Aldo Leopold observed, for all the wonder of an ecological education, one may still find themselves living alone in a world full of wounds. And yet, hope is to be found. Hope is to be made. Hope is to be acted upon, to be lived alongside others. And in this living, hope is magnified and made real. This work, the work of the late scholar of systems, Buddhism, and nature, Joanna Macy, was first brought to my attention early in my seminary journey. It is a hope beyond mere possession. It is a hope that has you. It is a hope that demands living through the grief and the terror of our times or any time, the kind of living that evokes tears, real tears, which water the seeds of real change. Some years ago, before coming to Omaha, in the midst of my seminary journey, we were charged as part of our formation as Unitarian Universalist clergy to ground ourselves in a sense of location. Where are you? To whom, to what do you belong? Doing this to root our spirits in the places that we were and were from. What is our story? Because the truth about the human condition is that we are narrative creatures. We live and die through story. Stories become us. Stories are what we are. It is vital that we know our stories if we are to lead. For most of our cohort, this was a transformative experience, an intentional practice, and not only intellectually engaging with all that had come before us, the beauty and the terror, but the emotional, the aesthetic, the spiritual experience of wherever home might be, learning to appreciate through new eyes, new ears, new hearts, new hands. Home, they say, is where the heart is. And for me, that is the Eastern Tennessee Valley, which I will be going home to for 2 weeks following today, and I'll be back with you before long. It's a place thick with woods and rivers, wild things howling in the night, birdsong in the day, a place not all that unlike parts of eastern Nebraska, rough with its hills and trees, a deep green at once soothing and consuming. One cannot help but feel like one is walking into a kind of ecological organ when you go into the wild woods of the valley, like a mouth, breathing, eating, calling. I re-educated myself on the horrors placed upon the indigenous people of my hometown of Rockwood, Tennessee, how our Cherokee neighbors, our Cherokee relatives, great aunts and uncles, swept away, disappeared on a death march for the sake of some pure white dystopia. Some small number of people making their way to North Carolina to maintain the Eastern Band, but this was not to be the fate of many whom named the same soil home as I. I learned of my great-great-great-grandfather's enlistment in the Confederate Army, but could never discern a motivation. Perhaps he wanted a means to put food on the table. Perhaps he was full of racist sentiments and was duped into the old myths of the glories of war. Perhaps he, like so many young men from our area, was effectively forced to enlist. I cannot yet say. This is my story, too. Wounds upon wounds upon wounds, as they would say in Latin, lacrimae rerum, the tears of things. I took these tears with me to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and to a place called Cade's Cove. It's a large, large meadow carved out of the mountains by an Ice Age glacier eons ago, full of black bears and white-tailed deer, wildflowers and butterflies. Before becoming a park, this was a place some of my ancestors would have called home. On the circular road looping the cove, you can find preserved artifacts, an old barn, a cabin, a church with a yard full of eroded tombstones, names lost to rain and time. And of course, there were other names. These were hunting grounds, living lands. Legends tell of a moon-eyed people who predate even the settlements of the Cherokee in that area. All this nested within the mountains, older than the concept of bones on this planet's biosphere, older than the rings on Saturn or the Appalachian Mountains. I had intended to take this feeling, this seeking up to Abrams Falls, a waterfall at the end of a long, steep trail my father had taken me down many, many times before. And yet when I approached the trailhead, I caught sight of something out of the corner of my eye, something I had not yet noticed before in all my years of being here and climbing this trail, another trail leading to the right, just off the path, a little clearing in the grass. Oh, I got ahead of myself. Another trail leading to the right, following the river's bend through the woods. And I took this less traveled trail and quickly found it to be choked with life. It wasn't just less traveled, it wasn't very well maintained. Laurels and vines and thorns and worse things, perhaps, making it impassable at a point. And as I went to turn back, yet another thing, all the things that can surprise you in the woods, a trail worn by something else, deer passage, perhaps a bear loping through the branches. Just off the path, a little clearing in the grass full of daisies and sunshine, and as I would come to find ants too. Once again, I followed the call of ear and eye and nested myself in that grove of grass, and I noticed the black ants busying themselves with the everyday magic of their labors, carrying bits of who knows what back into their burrow. I heard the hush of air rattling the leaves, flowing the grass like waves on the water. Above me, a cathedral of grass. Above the grass, the great green mountains cresting over, the tallest capped in a crown of snow. In this place I sat with the ants. Mistake, perhaps, but they left me alone and I left them alone, just seeking to feel something, something more than a mere intellectualization, some kind of grasp, something real, right? And that something came while looking at a daisy, delicate, precious, in the form of tears. Perhaps you have also cried looking at a flower or something, found the jewel-like tone of reality and were moved by it. If this has never happened to you, I recommend just going to look at something wild until it touches you. These tears I had carried, the grief of every destroyed story, obliterated in some villain's conquest in the name of white purity, of manifest destiny. What of the ants? What of the bear and the deer? What of the people for whom this was home before it was a park? What of the beauty of the earth, the dignity of the planet, the tears of my grandmother, my greatest grandmother? She's also your grandmother. You know this. We are all related. 99 some odd % genetically similar. We're all cousins, in a sense, distantly removed, of course. Alongside we and every bird and bee, flower and thorn, rainstorm and forest fire, I felt in that moment, as I have so many times before and since, in fits and starts, the sense of oneness, unity with the planet, even in all this breaking, with my being predicated on so much pain, from the Indian Removal Act to the Civil War to my grandfather's working at the labs that depleted the uranium for the Manhattan Project. All of this has held me, wound upon wound upon wound, and insofar as I have shared in the grief, partook in the agony, drank that wine, attended the tears of my grandmother, I was loved in a more than human way, held by the air, the land, the fabric of space and time, warped into the ever-present hug of gravity, the planet's way of saying, stay here with me. In the deep time of glacier crawl and the tangled wires of the far future, even as the mountains erode over time, there is hope should we seek such belonging, both with the planet and with other seekers, and allow such hope to live through us? These are hard things to feel in our kind of cultural, economic, social, arguably in some contexts, religious paradigms. And yet this is what we are called to, I believe. This is what this faith would call us to believe, in that value of interconnectedness, much of whose language we owe to Joanna Macy and scholars like her. On another occasion, I'll tell you one of my personal experiences of transcendent wonder, perhaps. I was sitting in a service at my home congregation of Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. Long before my calling struck me in full, I think I had just become the youth minister at that congregation. I cannot remember what Reverend Bice was saying, but I remember how I felt. In my imagination, this arena of my mind, I heard something, felt something, like a cry or a scream. And in my heart, I knew, felt that it was the cry of the planet. That might sound wild. Juniper seems so rational. She's hearing things. No, that's okay. Sometimes we hear things. Sometimes those things move us, real or imaginal. We are touched by a thing. Its effect is known. This is how Spirit has revealed itself to me at least once, in tears, in grief, in a cry, imaginary or real. I have carried its echo inside of me. I long to live up to this calling to care, just like I would live up to my own grandmother if she was weeping. Joanna Macy, whom we lightly eulogize today, was a great teacher, a grandmother herself, scholar, ecologist, lover of life. Should you turn to our values, as I said, you can find her all over our calling to interdependence. Even if this is the first time you heard her name, you must know the bear for her marks upon the tree, y'all. Joanna speaks of interdependence not as a mere commingling, but as a deep experience of oneness with the planet and all that is a true planetary perspective. And yeah, it's challenging because it challenges us to confront our grief. It is only through such a perspective that we may, with whole hearts, encounter that grief in all things, those tears and things, the big grief, wicked macro problems, climate change, these things that just can shut us off if we get too close to it. Like, what am I going to do about all that? Right? That's a thing a lot of people feel. But the big grief, it's the aggregate of all these sorrows, your worries, your fears, your neighbor's worries and fears, the worries and fears of people whose language you don't speak, whose faces you don't know. Every worry and fear bound together. Our grief is never just our own. It belongs in the broader context of all that has come before us, all that predates and predicates our being. On our own, these overwhelm. They crush, deplete, starve us of the stuff of life. The day-blind lights of the city have choked out the starshine at night. The asphalt delineates a line between the world of humans and everything else. The engines of industry have awarded so many cool artifacts, right? From an unsustainable drive. More. We want more so much. And yet eventually things do fall apart, either by storm or solar flare or society. Who knows how things turn? Not I. I am no seer of the future, but it does all break down, doesn't it? We can pretend that it doesn't hurt for so long, but we know it does. We know it does.
TTLE.
Even still, does the grass break through that pavement? Even still, the ants go marching. The black bear climbs her tree. The deer festoons his antlers in greenery. Even still, the world turns on into an uncertain future. On our own, isolated, alienated, we lose our humanity. As our young adult group reflected on yesterday in our book group reading Becoming, the Spiritual Path to Navigating Adulthood, one of the chalice lighting readings was from Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who said, "One who is truly self-sufficient must be subhuman, for it is only human to be unable to bear the weight of these wicked problems on our own, not to speak of our own personal struggles. And this is why we connect." That might even seem a little reductive. We long to be loved, to belong. right? To one another, yes, and to something more. And it's hard to say that that's something more, but it is the anguish of the world, isn't it? I don't want you to feel bad, y'all. And you don't need me to tell you that these are hard times for many, perhaps most people. We may feel an inner critic welling within us being like, ew, don't go there, it's too depressing. Don't talk about climate change. Don't talk about the real-time genocide unfolding in Palestine. Don't talk about the school-to-prison pipeline. Don't talk about the plight of poor single working mothers in North and South Omaha. Don't talk about people being disappeared into concentration camps on account of their nationality. It is too sad, and to feel sad is to be bad. Isn't that what we may have been told before? I have heard clergy and other traditions utter something vile on that line that we have a moral obligation to be happy. Anything else might upset the hierarchy. You can't love your neighbor if you're not happy. I don't think that's true, not by a long shot. Anything but, because your tears are holy water. Your hope is a question in the night. The bird singing after the storm. With all that can go wrong, what can go right? As Joanna says, a heart that can break open, a heart that can break open can hold the whole universe. In a moment, I am reminded of that much, much, much older mystic, Hadvik, who we've talked about here before, her poem, all things are too small to hold me. I am so vast in the infinite. I reach for the uncreated. I have touched it. It undoes me wider than wide. Everything else is too narrow. You know this well, you who are also there. It is my hope, friends, that you and we may meet this grief as it arrives to us. We do not need to seek it out. It will arrive on its own, a cry in the world, a tear on a face, perhaps your own face. Nobody tends to like to cry, but our tears on behalf of the world, as we said, are holy water. They are evidence of our caring. They are proof positive of the love that we have. It is inconvenient. If it's inconvenient, think of all the righteous agitators who live their faith for a better world by making things inconvenient, clogging up letterboxes, blocking traffic, playing the blues too loud to let the neighbors rest easy. Think on this. Feel it in your bones and bring that feeling and those tears to the work of opening up our neighbors' hearts and minds, leading one another home, hand in hand, into the work that reconnects. This is what Joanna taught, to reconnect to one another, yes, and to this experience of the world, and to allow ourselves to feel that grief, because once we feel that grief, that is the grief of the planet. Guess what, y'all? You're it. You are it. You might be able to rationalize yourself here. You can arrive at a sense of oneness of the planet through pure reason, because we know, insofar as we think evolution is true, I personally do, that we are emergent from biological processes and deep time, and we just happen to be here. What a time to be alive, to be able to know that, to feel it in your heart's heart, knowing your heart evolved over eons to pump blood through your body, not entirely unlike the hearts of every other organism that has one, moving fluids around, changing. We are a way, as Carl Sagan said, for this cosmos to know itself. I think perhaps more earthly, we are a way for this planet to feel itself, to experience itself. Each one of us kind of a nerve ending. You ever had an exposed nerve in a tooth or something? You'll know how much that can hurt. And I am challenging you while I'm going on vacation to allow yourself bit by bit in ways that feel safe and okay to you, to participate in the feeling of that hurt. It's okay to cry. Gods know that I have. Maybe know that as we cry, we do that heart work, that soul work, that political work of making power move to meet love's demands in the world, for the world, on behalf of the world, as the world. May we fight for this planet like we'd fight for our own sweetest grandma. May we know our tears as her tears. In addition to the work that reconnects, the great turning, approaching grief as a teacher, Joanna was a scholar of poetry and is one of the chief voices in the translation of that great German mystic, Rainer Maria Rilke. As we move into our time of altar building, let us hear these words of the poet through Joanna's lens of English. Here in this poem, this prayer, a wild love for the world, God speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent out beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing, embody me, flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you. Beauty and terror, just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. Altar building is is this thing on? Never can tell. Altar building is a sacrament, a Second Unitarian Church of Omaha that I picked up from my teacher, Reverend Jake Morrill, and it's an opportunity for you to be up and about this space if you so choose, to partake of some of these symbols we have before us. Also, I'm going to make sure you know, you don't have to do this. You can sit right where you are. Right where you are is as holy a place as any, so you know, friends. But you are absolutely welcome to, giving to Stephanie Newton, sorry, to take a flower and give it to a friend. You can keep it for yourself. Take one, take 2 or 3. We have plenty. The flowers we don't use, perhaps you've noticed, go onto our patio on the Sunday following to bless the porch. But do take some flowers, friends. In this same basket, oh shoot, one fell here, Tom. In that same basket, because we know our beauty and our grief can commingle together in one life and one body, you'll also find stones. And these stones are for you to take and to hold and to feel the weight in your palm, light or heavy, and know that that weight is an expression of gravity, the curve of space-time, pulling everything to the center. Give your burden, what's weighing heavy on your heart, to that sense, that pull, and when you're ready, give it back to the water. Deep calls to deep. We have both of these on the back table yonder where Anita and Mark are. We have candles as well. If there's something in your life you'd like to shine a little light on, then come take a stick and give it to the fire. Sometimes it takes a second, you know. And then give it to a candle along with your intention or your joy. When you're done, make sure it's put out all the way in the salt. If you're a younger person, I encourage you to get a grown-up to help you with that, Our book of life is for you to write whatever you want, and really a prayer, a poem, a brief reflection. You can sign your name, you can stay anonymous, that's fine too. What is written in the book of life will be incorporated into an extemporaneous prayer of the people following altar building. There is only one book of life up here, so you will have to journey up here. However, so you know, on future Sundays, we do keep the book of life on the welcoming table, so if you want to beat the crowd, you can sign it there. We have a drawing board. There's only one of those too, but if you're feeling creative, there's a whiteboard for you to draw on. And because we believe the offering is a sacrament, a spiritual act worthy of any of these and all others, we do take our offering up during altar building. Deb, would you mind sharing who our Share the Plate recipient is? Absolutely. Thank you.
I forgot about this part, folks. And I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Every month, Second Unitarian donates half of our offering to a local nonprofit. Our partner for July and August is Restoring Dignity. At the heart of Restoring Dignity is the belief that something can and should be done to meet the needs of Omaha's refugee community through empowerment, education, and advocacy partnerships. They provide resettled refugee families with crucial services such as home makeovers, relief programs, and language access support. All classes are taught in the language the family speaks by an educator who is from the family's community. They provide critical housing advocacy for refugees who are struggling with substandard living conditions. Restoring Dignity's Welcome Home program is one of a kind in the United States. Social justice is at the heart of our church, and every day UUs show up. Please give generously to 2U's Share the Plate offering to support restoring dignity and our church. Mail checks to 2U at 3012 South 119th Street. Use the QR code in our service or on the sign on the offering box. And if you're writing a check,
Friends, will you join me in that spirit of reverence that grounds us in the moment? Not one that diminishes or denies any particular part of our lives, but that can identify all of our life, the highs and the lows, as having that quality of the holy, that sacredness suffusing everything. Connect yourself to that in what way feels right to you. Spirit of life, love, and all good growing things, God of every name and no name at all, Spirit suffusing matter, not raw ghosts or simple ideas, but this, right now, this world, deeply imperfect, broken and hurting, Spirit that grieves in our grief, that exalts in our joy. We gather in a time with so much is wrong in the world, when skies burn full of missiles and bombs, prison walls thick, impenetrable, people rounded up like they're not people. And we know better here. We know better, and so it can hurt to be in the face of such grief. Grief abroad, as fires burn in Palestine and Ukraine and everywhere, Sudan, anywhere anybody is living beneath the threat of the bludgeon or the bullet or the bars of a jail. May our hearts be with them. May we not turn away simply because it's hard. May we take care of our hearts, but may we stay attuned and attentive in what ways we can. In what ways allow us to exalt and to give power to those who are on the margins and under the boot. And here, of course, so much hurts at home, here in our own city, where people have been rounded up and deported. Who knows if they had a fair trial? Who knows? Who knows where we're going? Lost, adrift, and yet we are most certainly going together. May we take heart that even in despair, even in the breaking, that there are hands to hold, smiles to see, heartbeats to feel, children being born, new things always growing, opportunities abounding in the future if we would but light a way and find a common path forward and believe that the world that we desire is possible. May we make it so in big ways and little ways, for all these ways are love's way. And may we hear these prayers of the people, knowing that joys and sorrows commingle in a life, so we give them breath here today at one time. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves unto the well. It is time now, y'all, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we will learn to lead in love, so we sang earlier. In this great turning, well, it's many things. An obvious reality, a shift in economics, politics, faith, culture, a turn in ecologies and the biosphere, the tick of the talk of the clock towards midnight, a turning towards what? A parking lot? A prison? As Andrea Gibson wrote, we are taught to take this world by storm. What if we took it by sunshine, by rosewater, by cactus flower? What if the great turning could be a turn away from an empire towards a community of the earth, from a kingdom of heaven towards a kingdom of the planet, from economics of accumulation towards economics of care? You can call me a socialist if you like, that's fine. I am just a primate who longs for other primates to have their basic needs met. Because it's time now, y'all. It's time. It's not time yet. Is it not time yet that we thrive? How do we thrive in this turning? Obviously, together, friends. And I am reminded of a special video. Sarah, will you share the Joanna Macy video for us? It's very short.
You know, in so many ways, the civilization that we've been part of, based so much on hyper-individualism and on private property, so much of that has been shrinking to the human spirit. We hardly have any idea of the reserves of creativity and inventiveness and patience and endurance and inspiration that are there for us, my dear ones. It's vast what is there for you and for me and for all of us as we tune in. And there are ways of tuning in that we're finding, and some that you've discovered. And trust them. Trust the love that comes in you, that erupts in you for life itself, for all beings. Trust that. Trust your impatience sometimes when you think there must be a better way of conceiving this. Trust that, and just and garb yourself in the patience of intense creativity. Listen to the wild thoughts that are there. Listen to the wild thoughts bringing us home. The great turning is that flame in the heart, that vision and that commitment that will take us through the hardship and will help us bind us to each other to work together toward that vision. And it's not just a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's how we get through.
So it is. Amen. How do we thrive in this turning together? Y'all, trust in yourselves that you are worthy of these times. What you need is already within you. And if it's not within you, it's within a friend, perhaps one you have not yet met, who needs what you know, who you are, that they may come to life and realize a turning towards love. Hope. When I was a child, my father quipped at me, quoting Ben Franklin, "They who live upon hope will die fasting." And insofar as we hold old ideas of hope, this might be true. A hope that does not do anything is a dead thing. It is a fish rotting in the sun on the stone of our heart. Hope needs the water of life, the flows, the river, moves on. And if our hope isn't riding the current with us, well, it'll be left behind to be rended by the takers. Hope demands living, and when we live it, we get more of it. It's like the magic penny, or love itself. When we live our love like a prayer, it magnifies, and the circle is drawn wider and wider still. But what is hope? When I was a child, my father also taught me that we cannot choose what happens to us all the time, but we can choose how we respond. This is the distinction between reacting and responding. Even in arenas where our individual efforts can only be minuscule, the kind of actions we may take and the extent to which we think they'll pan out for the better are conditioned on how we think about hope. In Joanna's own words, the word hope has two different meanings. The first involves hopefulness, where our preferred outcome seems reasonably likely to happen. If we require this kind of hope before we commit to an action, our responses get blocked in areas where we don't rate our chances too high. What she means is, if you don't think your thing is going to pan out the way you want it to, well, then you might retract your hope, because getting that hope slapped out of your hand hurts. It's sad. It can feel embarrassing even, but that's really only true when you do it by yourself. Because even if you fail together, you fail together, not alone, but you grow together. You meet new people. You find new ways to strategize. You build again. You build back better. But the second meaning And the important one is about desire. When a person was asked what she'd like to have happen in our world, without hesitation, she described the future she hoped for, the kind of world she longed for so much it hurt. It is this kind of hope that starts our journey, knowing what we hope for and what we'd like or love to take place. It is what we do with this hope that really makes a difference, with desire, the fire. And so it is, passive hope is about waiting for external agencies to bring about what we desire. But active hope is about becoming active participants in bringing about what we hope for. What kind of world do you long to live in, friends? Those of you who attended our climate justice revival were charged with this kind of imagining, so maybe you already have a bit of an idea. Think on it for a few seconds, though. I know we're running a little behind time, but think on it for a moment. Imagine that world. Who is there? What's it like? Is anyone missing? Is anyone hungry or unable to afford medicine? Is anyone in our current kind of prison industrial complex? Where are the wars? How would you live in such a world? Who would you be? What would you give yourselves to? What would happen if, in what ways we lived as if we were already citizens of such a world? I know some of y'all already do. This is not mere manifesting, friends. You can't believe your way into that world alone. You can't think yourself into new ways of being. You gotta act yourself into new ways of being. And our hope is that desire set as a beacon, an ever-present reminder of a world that remains possible no matter how slim the odds. Even should we fail, friends, we fail together. And would we not be so glad to have shared in that adventure? Even should the change we seek fall flat, would we not be filled with the life for that shared effort, to know that we tried, that you tried? What are these No Kings protests for, y'all? Are these going to be the assemblages that flip the tables of power? Probably not. Are these arenas where we may meet other workers for justice, other folks filled with hope in a better world? You betcha. You know it. Even if these protests aren't your scene, there are so many ways to organize and to connect. Cleaning up trash with friends, volunteering at the Humane Society, which I know some folks do, organizing with OTOC. It all adds up. It all adds up. There are possibilities yet unrealized for the partnerships we have yet to make. You have not yet met all the people in this life you will love and who will love you. There are possibilities all the time. So trust yourselves, friends, if you ask. Odds are someone will join you if you ask. Join me in this thing. Help me pick up trash, wherever the heart turns. Good odds someone will say yes. And even if it's just one person, isn't it written in the Bible, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am? And so it is that the earth and all the world is on our side when we go hand in hand into this uncertainty with a fire in our heart, a desire for the world that could be. Keep your critical mind, Unitarian Universalists. We're so known for that, but let us soften our hearts. Hone your wit, but allow your tears to flow, and know that it is never, never weakness to care so much that it hurts, to care so much that it evokes grief. Let us be a people so rooted in love, so enamored with this world, that we cannot help but lean into the grief, to end the words attributed to Methodist forefather John Wesley, to do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. All of these efforts, great and small, are all part of the great turning, and all of us and all that we are called. For all of us, across all differences, are in this together, from Donald Trump to you, to everyone in between, and all and around. We are on this boat together, whether we like it or not. To reiterate what Deb read of Joanna, if the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced it will be by ordinary people, people whose love for this life is even greater than their fear and power and pain. Let us trust ourselves and one another in this great turning, day by day, stride on stride, for each of us and all that is are swimming to the other side. Well, as we extinguish our chalice, friends, you can join us in the reading on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Doxology. Praise love from which all goodness shines. Praise freedom lifted to the skies. Praise the fires of the mind. Praise all the joy we've yet to find. Prophetic Church, this world awaits your liberating ministry as we go from this place, maybe be fools for love and pilgrims for justice, and until we meet again 2 weeks from me, maybe rock, roll, and move towards that spirit of beloved community on the horizon. Stick around for After Hour, y'all online as well. And if you want more earth-centered eco-theologies, join us at the Fontenelle Wetlands for Wild Worship, which we partner with First United Methodist for. It's going to be really cool. The news people from the United Methodist Church will be there to interview us, so that'll be fun. Pass through, come visit. Go in peace.